the school cleanup crew, the Middlesex Hose Company volunteers who helped set up and tear down. That's been a great help because previous years we have 80-year-old men out here carrying chairs and stuff like that. It takes a lot longer. Sean Allen of Lake Events, who provided the tent. O'Brien's porta potties. Dan Paddock and Paul Mitchell for the audio support. Jim Hilton on camera. Deb and Ed Bronson over by the pies. Bonnie and Rich Olswald, Lane Hilton, Beth Muller, for all to do with the group, and the Vine Valley Community House who provided some of the pies. I would also like to thank our sponsors, the town of Middlesex, the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association, and the Mitchell Family Community Leadership Fund. For all who don't know me, I am Win Harper. I am the president of the Middlesex Heritage Group. Make sure that's on camera. Anyway, our mission is preserving the past for the future, and we meet every Wednesday morning at the town hall between 9 and 12. We catalog the history. We have over 350 three-ring binders of the town of Middlesex. We have over 1,000 names for our family history files. We'd love to have you come down there and see if your name is there, or if you want to add something, or you want to take copies of what we have. We really would like that. We'd also like to have some volunteers. We did a little math the other day, and I think the average age in the room is 74. And we'd like to have some younger blood. That means anybody under 75, actually. So that would pull the average down. So, also, this is the Yates County Bicentennial year. Last Saturday, down in Rushville, Potter, Middlesex, and Rushville had a picnic and a parade. It was fabulous. The mayor of Rushville did a tremendous job. It was a lot of fun. Today is part of that. And then we have some other things going on the rest of the year. On the November 11th, there'll be a Veterans Bicentennial Gala in Penn Yan. I will be the speaker. I'll do better there than I'm doing here. We have pictures of World War I veterans over there. And we also have a picture of Middlesex Civil War veterans. So on the 11th of November this year at 3 p.m. at the town hall, I'd like to have any veteran who wants to get a picture taken. Any war, any time, peace, whatever. If you served in the military, were discharged honorably, we'd like to have you show up. We'll take your picture just for posterity, for our history. And you can show up in any uniform or any way you want to show up. Just show up and we'll take your picture. Yeah, that's pretty much it. How you doing? One of my fans. We've been doing this, I think it's a 30-second. Can you stop that traffic? This is a 30-second Seneca Heritage Day. We've been doing this, and it's a treat for us because we have a chance to get together as a community. Earlier this summer we had a community picnic here. We'd like to have one again next year because that's just a nice event. It was a potluck. Everybody gets together and just sits around and talks. In October it'll be the 45th anniversary of the Middlesex Heritage Group, and we're still in the early planning phases. That's only a month away of coming up with something for the celebrate that. I've had the honor of introducing Peter Jemison probably 10 times, and at some point you're going to have good words to say about the man. He's an incredible person. His illustrious career, I have to read some of this because there's so much, spans decades across a wide swath of diverse accomplishments. Peter received his arts education from the University of Siena in Italy before earning a BS in Arts and Education from Buffalo State College, later receiving their honorary doctorate of fine arts. A member of the Seneca Nation, Heron Clan, his work is rooted in the framework of Native American art. His paintings, videos, mixed media works are highly regarded and shown in numerous solo and group exhibitions in the United States, UK, and Germany. I think Peter said he's going to have a show down in New York City. He's going down on Wednesday to set it up, I believe. He is also an esteemed administrator, curator, editor, and writer. In 1985, Peter was named the first historic site manager of Ganongdon State Park historical site and first spoke here in 1988. Let's see here. Peter had a 2-decade-long vision that resulted in the Seneca Art and Culture Center, which opened in October 2015. He was able to mobilize such disparate groups as New York State, the Seneca Nation, Tonawandin Band of Seneca, Friends of Ganondagan, Board of Trustees, foundations, philanthropists, and individuals, which made his dream come true. He also, in 2015, served as producer, catalyst, and inspiration for the Iroquois creation story film. When Peter opened his 17,300 square foot Seneca Art and Cultural Center, and I use this quote every year because it's so powerful, he said, "When you're a Native American, when you're a Native person, your story is often told by other people. Here, we tell our own story." And that's really the purpose of the Seneca Heritage Day, to have Peter come here and tell their Seneca story and their influence on us in his own words. So, artist, teacher, speaker, administrator, producer, visionary, and inspirational leader, Peter Jemison.
Now you did it. Now I scout Swagwego. Onunda Waga ni a God knows a death down ni Gyaso. Ganundagan ni Kanangi. In our language, the word Seneca has no meaning, so we call ourselves Onundawaga, and we're referring to this hill down here that in English they call South Hill. In our language we call it Nundawao, and that's the hill that we take our name from. When we say people of the Great Hill, we're referring to that hill. Of course, the story also ties us in here to Bear Hill, and then in our language we say Ganundawa for that particular hill. In my greeting I just said I give thanks that you are well, and each of us who is Onundawa God, we belong to one of the 8 clans. We have 4 on the bird side, 4 on the animal. We inherit our clan and our nation from our mother, so therefore I'm Heron, and also Onundawa God because my mother was, although my father was Wolf, we go on the mother's side. So the name they gave me is God Knows a Death. And it has mostly to do with responsibilities I have within our ceremonial way of life. I'm referred to as a Hanundion, a faith keeper. And actually I will be leaving tonight to go home to Newtown Longhouse because we're going to take care of our green corn ceremony over the next few days, and so it's time for me to head home and take on my responsibilities. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the year 1823, which I understand is the Middlesex anniversary, and I'm going to try to tie in a few other dates that are right around that time period and see if I can pull this all together. Just for your frame of reference, in 1825, John Quincy Adams became the 6th President of the United States. So that's the time frame that we're talking about. In 1825, the Erie Canal was completed, 363 miles across what we now refer to as New York State, cutting through all Haudenosaunee territories and radically changing our territories because of the emigration of people who came in as either the people working on the Erie Canal or those that opened up these kind of hotel taverns that were along the Erie Canal, cobblestone houses, many of them. And this Clinton's Ditch, as it was referred to, it really did bring about major change for our people especially. And what I always visualize is this kind of fencing that begins to come because of the arrival of domestic animals, cattle, sheep, horses, whatever, and the actual pulling away from that area then of the game animals that we depended on. You know, the white-tailed deer, we believe, was provided to us for our food, and of course the bear as well, but many other small game. And so in that way too, big changes came about as a result of the Erie Canal completion. The other big change that came about was the desire to have Buffalo, which it was, the terminus for the Erie Canal, connecting the inland waterways, the Great Lakes, with eventually the Atlantic Ocean. The Erie Canal, you know, took you over to the Mohawk River, which then took you to the Hudson River, and via the Hudson you gained access to Manhattan and lower New York State, which then became a major harbor. It had been already, but it even got busier because of importing various things from the west. So that kind of is taking place at the same time. To come back to us, the Onondaga, a little more specifically, in 1799, Seneca, who is referred to by us as Ganyadayo, translates to kind of handsome lake. That's one translation. He was given a vision, and in this vision he saw the world that you and I are living in the year 1799, and he prophesied things that at the time people simply could not believe, and many thought of him as a heretic or as a witch or whatever you want to call it. They just really could not believe the things that he was saying that were going to come about. And I'll tell you about some of them because we're living in that time period. He talked about the fact that whole species would die off. Trees, birds, animals, insects, they would just simply disappear because of changes that would be brought about primarily by mankind. And so he predicted that. He predicted a time when the waters that people used to drink would be unfit to drink. There'd be no way you could drink those and be healthy. And so, of course, people who used well water and springs, they couldn't believe that. They didn't believe it, really. He predicted a time when you're going to see a vehicle that travels along the road. There's no horse in front of it. There's no horse behind it. And this is 1799. Again, they had no idea that something like this could come about. He predicted a time when voices would come through the wall of a building, and yet there was no one there. You could say the radio, the telephone, television, whatever you want. All of those things, he saw them coming. And he saw a time coming with many fires. Fires all over the place. He saw a time coming when the leaders of the major countries of the world would not be able to get along with each other. It'd be constant fighting. And he saw all that in 1799, and he was obligated to tell the people what he saw. He had 4 messengers come to him and relate to him these messages. And they would ask him after each time it was revealed to him, shown to him, what did you see? And then he would recite what he saw. And they would say, yes, it's true what you saw. And you must tell your people what you saw. And so he did, but as I say, people really disbelieved him and drove him away from his community because they were in such disbelief and really just thought of him as something's happened to him that has caused him to have these strange ideas, something like that. For us, he said, we had to stop using alcohol. He said alcohol was a terrible affliction for us. It had brought great destruction to our people, and that we should really abstain from it. That was one of his messages. One of his other messages was that it seemed as though witchcraft became prevalent and that had to stop. He wanted people to stop practicing that, and he made a point of it. He also said at that time that there were people, probably women and men, who were using something called love medicine to attract the opposite sex, the ones that they had their eye on, and he said that that was a bad idea because you might be interested in someone who was already married or who was unavailable to you, I'd say. At any rate, that was one of his other messages. And lastly, of the 4 original ones that he brought to us and said, you got to avoid this, he opposed abortion. And he made a point of that it cuts off the line of descendants of children that are coming. And so he made a point that he opposed that. And, of course, I realize that's controversial, and that's the subject of a lot of debate right now. Interesting, this is in 1799, and that's a major issue today, or at least it's the one that people are using to distract you from what's really going on. And so the next thing I want to talk about, I'm going to jump ahead about 100 years and try to explain to you a time period that we experienced, or those of us, especially people who come from what we call Canada now. In 1825, the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, began to harass our Haudenosaunee people who were living on the Six Nations Reserve, which is in Ontario, and they were harassing them this way. They were invading their homes, they were searching their homes, they were preventing them from cutting firewood, even though firewood was the way people cooked to eat and also to heat their homes. They outlawed the idea of cutting firewood, but at the same time they were allowing non-native people to cut firewood. And so, obviously a discrimination was taking place. And they were, just in general, trying to really change, but also to restrict ceremonial activity. They were outlawing ceremonial activity, not only on the East Coast, but also out to the West Coast. And they were doing such things as confiscating ceremonial material from different nations. I've dealt with people from the Northwest Coast who had their masks confiscated. They were sold off by the RCMP, and they spent a long time trying to get them back from the various museums that in the interim had acquired them. So there was a man, his English name was Levi General. And Levi General is known by a title for the Cayuga Nation as Discahe. And so Discahe wanted to travel and speak with the League of Nations. He wanted to bring to their attention the abuses that he felt the RCMP was imposing on his people. And so he managed to get a ship to take him to Geneva eventually. And this is July 14th, 1823. And, 1923. And when he gets there, he's asking if he can address the League of Nations. And he wants to mainly catch the attention of the British, because Canada, part of the British Commonwealth of Nations. He wanted to make them aware of what was going on among his people. And he was also bringing a message that they desired sovereignty, to be able to govern themselves and take care of their own matters. And so again, this is July 14th, 1923. Well, the bottom line is Discahe was not permitted to address the League of Nations. He was there, and and it turned out, of course, that Canada was the main obstacle. Canada did not want him to say anything, and so they did everything they could to prevent him from addressing the League of Nations. So now, let's fast forward another 100 years to July 14th, 2023. And so the man who today holds that title, Discahe, he went over to Geneva, right? And he wants to address the United Nations and to bring to their attention our continuing need for sovereignty, for the recognition of our sovereign rights. And again, he spoke, but he was not really given the access that he wanted to have. So he said, I'm going to introduce myself, and after this point, when I introduce myself, I won't talk further because I want to remind you of what Desgahe in 1923 went through. What he experienced in 1923, I am going to remind you of by my silence. And so this is what he did. But it drew so much attention. The Swiss government and other governments and many other indigenous people who were there to hear their grievances or to air their grievances also just kind of were drawn to him. And it created a totally different atmosphere than anything that had previously been expected. And they were, like I would just put it, rolling out the red carpet, putting on dinners. And we had an exhibit of art by contemporary Haudenosaunee people that was along the lake in Geneva in sort of semi-permanent display areas. And it seems as though there's a desire to have him return and, again, make that plea for recognition of the sovereignty of the Haudenosaunee. So this subject was part of a Grand Council meeting last weekend. A week ago today, I was at the Onondaga Longhouse for a Grand Council meeting, and they were giving a report on the trip to Geneva. Desgahe was there, and as well a man named Ken Deere, who has spent a lot of time in Europe trying to build these relationships that we need in order to get this recognition that we need, and in order to be treated as equals. Desgahe, when he got back to the States, was not permitted to go back to Canada. The Canadian government blocked him so that he couldn't cross the Niagara River and go back to his home, because he had brought attention to the abuses of the RCMP. And so he had to stay on the Tuscarora territory with a man known as Clinton Rickard. Clinton Rickard, as a result of Desgahe not being able to return to Canada, he put together what is called the Indian Defense League. And the Indian Defense League is about duty-free passage of Haudenosaunee people across the border, because the border didn't exist when we first existed here. This is a border that was created by Canada and the United States, not by us. And so every year, the Indian Defense League, they either cross from the U.S. into Canada or from Canada into the U.S. as a parade to mark the occasion of Desgahe being blocked from returning to his home in Canada. He actually died in the U.S. and his remains were taken to Canada, and he was buried on the Six Nations Reserve. But this gives you an indication of what we have been dealing with, really, when it comes to the recognition of our rights as equals. And so I want to talk about this a little bit further by using a facsimile of a wampum belt. Give me 1 minute. I want everything to fly off this little lectern here. So, in about the year 1613, the Dutch came to the Mohawk and they said, we'd like to establish trading posts on what they referred to as the Mahicantuck. Now, the Mahicantuck today is known as the Hudson River. The pilot of the Half Moon, he was so happy with himself that he named the river after him. And his name was Henry Hudson. So it had a name, though, before Mr. Hudson, and it was Mahicantuck. And it has something to do with the fact that the currents go in two directions. And that is in part because the tide from the Atlantic Ocean actually travels up the Hudson River, and then, of course, the current is bringing it down on the other side. So it does have, kind of currents in two directions. And anyway, the Dutch wanted to have trading posts along the Hudson River for fur. This is a time period of fur trade where the prize commodity is the beaver pelt. And so they approached the Mohawk about the idea of building trading posts along the Mahicanta. And they said, well, we'll think about it, but we think we want to explain to you a relationship that we should have. And they said, so we're going to make a belt. So now this belt, originally it was made out of quahog clamshell, which is the purple portion, and lightning whelk, which is the white portion of this, made into beads, harvested in the North Atlantic, traded across the Long Island Sound to people like the Pequot, who then fashioned beads. The beads were then tithed to us by the Pequot for protection from the English. When I say us, I mean Haudenosaunee. We then took them and we put them together into belts which function as a mnemonic device, a way of remembering an important message. And so this belt can be read. We didn't have a written language, but we had devices like this to record important agreements and to pass them along to those that we kind of had to deal with, right? So, and what it says here is, traveling in one of these lines are the Mohawk, and they are traveling in a canoe. And in that canoe, they have everything they need. They have their original language. They have their law. They have their customs, their traditions, their belief. Their Ongwe Ka, the way of life of the original human being. It's all there in that canoe for them. But next to them are the Dutch, and they're in a ship. And in their ship, they have their English. They have their language, excuse me. They also have their religious belief. They have their knowledge, whatever that may be, of their environment, the way they see it. They have these things that they have learned as they've been passed down to them, whether through a book or through preachers or through their history as they've recorded it. So they have everything they need in their ship. And as well, in their ship, they have shiny objects, we say. Shiny objects that they brought with them from the other side of the sea. And we said that what we would like to do is, there's 3 white beads in the middle here, 3 rows of white beads. We'd like to live in peace and friendship forever. And the way we can do that is if you can respect the right of us to exist. That's what they told the Dutch. And what we don't want is you to jump out of that ship, get in our canoe, and try to steer it for us. And what we do not want to do is get out of our canoe and try to steer your ship for you, because you have your own instructions, and we hope you're following those. Okay, how to live as a human being. So, and if you can agree to this, this will exist as long as the grass turns green at a certain time of the year, as long as water flows downhill, and as long as our elder brother the sun rises in the east and makes his journey. That's how long this agreement will last, if you can agree to it. So this belt was taken over to Geneva, right? It's been taken there a number of times. And my understanding is that the Dutch actually have about 4 or 5 of these facsimiles from different times when we've gone back over there and say, hey, do you remember that agreement we made in 1613? And can you find that piece of paper you wrote down you're thinking about it? Of course not. Well, we got this right here, see? It's very easy. And we'd like to remind you of it. So, I'd like to release a little information, but I'm sworn to secrecy. But you may hear more about this. You may hear more about this. And it could be in 2024, actually. I'm going to talk about one more belt, and then I'm going to run out of gas, I'm pretty sure. I spent the later afternoon yesterday on the Midway at the New York State Fair. And I can only tell you that something I ate didn't agree with me. Couldn't have been that junk, I don't think. Anyway, one thing I did leave out and I'd like to talk about. In 1924, it's along the lines of what I've been talking about, In 1924, the Bureau of Indian Affairs was established. And the Bureau of Indian Affairs, they had the idea, I should say the Congress has the idea, that we are wards of the United States. When I say we, I mean Haudenosaunee people. We are wards of the United States. And they have to look after our best interests. And so they're treating us, they want to treat us like children, basically. And what I would have to remind the BIA of is this idea, you see. And they didn't want us to bring these anymore when we got together to talk. As he said to us, would you leave that thing home? Because it keeps on reminding us of things, failures on our part. I don't think they ever said that, but they should. Okay, so I'm going to need the help of a very strong gentleman here in the front. Somebody, Paul, maybe you can come up here. You can help me out. Oh, wrong belt. I won't need your help. I picked up a belt without opening it up, and what I really want to talk about is Canandaigua Treaty. November the 11th of this year, the Canandaigua Treaty is going to be a little bit different, I think. Word came to me while I was at the Grand Council last weekend that some type of White House representation is coming to Canandaigua this November the 11th. What that means, I'm not too sure of, because we don't have any names, and I'm supposed to have a follow-up phone call to find out what it actually means and who might be coming. The last time I dealt with anything related to the White House, Hillary Clinton visited Ganondagan in 1998. And what happened at that time was the Secret Service showed up, and the Secret Service took over the site, and nobody could leave, and nobody could come on once they arrived until Hillary got there. And, so they take control. So I don't know what may happen in Canandaigua relative to some White House representation. But I'm pretty sure that there will be a lot of looking before they come. We had, at that time in '98, we had people from the White House come, and they looked over the site, and we were in the process of finishing our bark longhouse. And they said, this would be great. Hillary would really love to see this. The problem was she wanted to come a little bit more than 2 weeks before we were going to be ready. So we had to do a rush to finish that bark longhouse on time for her to come and for it to be open to the public again. And so that did happen, and she came. And what happened as a result of that visit was 10,000 more people came to Ganondagan after her visit than previously. So it can have quite an impact, and what impact it may have for Canandaigua and the Ontario County Courthouse and the Canandaigua Treaty, all that remains to be seen. So I'm going to leave it at that, leave you guessing, leave you wondering, just like me. And I'm going to take a couple of questions, and then I'm going to turn the program over to Mr. Bill Kraus, who is sitting patiently in the back there, and I'm sure you're all anxious to see our Haudenosaunee dancers. We got a really good hoop dancer back there. Okay, any questions about any of the things that I've said so far? Okay, if there are no questions, I'm going to get out of here. Way in the back. Is that a question, or are you scratching your head? Okay, you're scratching your head. All right. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to remind people that the United States was not part of the League of Nations. We didn't want to be told what to do by anybody. One of the consequences of that, the League of Nations banned lead paint in interior paint in 1920-something. In the United States, we kept painting houses with lead paint until I think 1973, with the result is inner city people for 50 years continue to get poisoned. So just a little.
I appreciate that additional history. Thank you very much. Knew nothing about that. Any other additions or deletions? Or yes, way in the back.
How come we don't hear about the Susquehanna that much?
Well, probably because there are really not living descendants of the Susquehannock. I mean, there are people who have Susquehannock blood, including us, because they came in under our wing. But we don't have a community that is strictly Susquehannock and people, living there. So that usually has an impact on how much you hear about other people. The fact that they're not around right now. Anyone else? Okay, you've been a wonderful audience, and I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm going to hand it off to you.
Thank you very much, Peter. Your talks are always enlightening and very helpful for us, so thank you. Little administrative now. We have a sign-up book here for people who are here, so we can record your names and track you later on. And so now we have Bill Krause. I can move that one, yeah. Got enough room? Okay, we're now going to have Bill Krause and the Allegheny River Dancers, and there will be a chance for all of you to get up and dance. I certainly think you should, because you will be recorded for posterity.
Check one. 1, 2, can you hear me okay? All right. I would like another big round of applause for my brother Peter Jemison and his awesome historic presentation. My name is Bill Krause. I'm a Seneca from the Allegheny Territory is where I reside, and I'm here with members of my family to share a little bit of what we call Yoinza Ge Ka Ha Digainage. These are the songs and dances of the earth. Now, as Native people, check one. Don't turn me down. Turn me back up. Check one. Yeah, it went down a little bit. Too loud? Too loud? Okay. Is that good? Okay. I promise to use it more to talk than to actually sing, because when I use it to sing, then it'll be loud. So, but anyways, I started to say that as Native people, we use song and dance for a lot of different occasions. So I think it's a miracle that as a people, we still have these songs and dances. So our people endured a lot of hardship and a lot of displacement throughout our history. But regardless of that, whenever the green corn got ripe, when the strawberries got ripe, and when it was time, our elders and our ancestors put on those ceremonies. Even when they didn't feel like singing and dancing, they did. And they gave thanks. And it's with this idea of giving thanks and being grateful that we share these songs and dances, and we hope to have you understand, I guess, a little bit of our philosophy and our worldview. As a people, song and dance, as I said, is used for a number of different occasions. We have certain songs and dances that we use as prayer. We have certain songs and dances that we use for healing. We can heal individuals, or we can heal our community. And we also have certain songs and dances that are just for fun. So these are the ones that we're sharing today. And even though they are not classified as ceremonial dances, they still have this constant idea of giving thanks. They also have and tell our history as a people. So this first one that we're going to do, I like to give background about it so that you understand really what the dance and the songs are about. So this first dance is the one that we do whenever we gather. It's always the first one that's done at a social in our longhouses. And in our language it's called Gatdashod. Literally translates to mean standing quiver. The standing quiver dance was done by a leader. He would go in the center of the village and give a holler and stand up his quiver of arrows in the center of the village. By making that holler, he's calling all of his warriors together. One by one, they would put their quivers of arrows in the center of the village next to his. And they danced around them, asking for a blessing or good luck in whatever they were leaving to do. Whether it was a hunting journey, whether it was trading, or whether it was warfare. We wanted to be lucky. We wanted to have good luck when we left. So the guys would start this dance, and the women would join in. And the lineup would be guy, girl, as everybody in the community danced together. There are historic accounts of warriors attacking towns, singing a marching type song as they came in. It was this dance. So we still have the song and dance that was used for that type of occasion. So here we go, got that show to eat. They what? Got to know that.
Hey-o! Yum, 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 ahe, 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 ahe,
Next up, we're going to have our ladies come out. We're going to have them do a dance that goes all the way back to our creation story. And in our creation story, it talks about the Sky Woman. That story says that as the Sky Woman fell from the sky world, she was caught by a flock of great birds. These big birds placed her on the back of a giant turtle. And we're lucky that she did that they did that. They helped her. So we wouldn't even exist were it not for the water birds and animals. When she was placed on the back of this great turtle, she did this dance. And every time she danced a complete circle, the world grew a little bit more. That story says that it grew into the great turtle island we call North America. We believe when our ladies do this dance, even today, they are re-blessing Itina Yoanzade, our mother of the earth. This is the women's dance. At this this time we're going to talk a little bit about our women's outfits. This is the type of clothes that our ladies wear for ceremonies back home in our longhouses. So as Pete said, they're getting ready to have that green corn dance ceremony in Newtown at the Newtown Longhouse. And the women will be wearing this type of skirt and leggings set with the matching collar. And as Seneca people, we inherit the clan membership of the mother's side of the family. Now, this is my daughter, and she takes her mother's clan. So you can see that she is a member of the Turtle clan of the Seneca people. On the animal side of the clan system, we have the turtle, bear, beaver, and wolf clan. On the bird side, we have the hawk, snipe, blue heron, and the deer is a member of the bird side of the clan system. Now, there are a few different stories as to why the deer is on the bird side of the clan system, and that's a whole nother presentation, so we won't go there right this minute. But again, this is our traditional regalia. Let's give her a big hand. Next up, we're going to do a dance that we're kind of surrounded by in this area, I guess. In our language, we call this Oneyo Oino. And I remember last year, I think, there was a cornfield over here. And now I see we have this this sunflowers growing here. So again, the corn and sunflowers, of course, are just a few of the gifts of Native American agriculture to the world. And a lot of people don't realize that well over 60%, 70% of the food that people eat every day are gifts of Native American agriculture to the world. So those of you that get up in the morning and gotta have that coffee, you know, that's Native American use, really. That's a Native American plant. So coffee, chocolate, chewing gum are just a few of the many uses of Native American plants. Now, we're going to do this dance, and it is about this idea of giving thanks. So we call this Oneya Oino, the corn dance. So if you planted corn, you should dance with us, okay? If you ate corn on the cob within the past week, you should join us, okay? If you have corns on your toes, you can stay in your seat. But again, this dance again is used to socialize and to give thanks. So here we go, corn dance. We're gonna go right around this tent here. So feel free to get in line with us. It's a very easy step. Don't be shy.
Hiya! Hajinan! Hiya! Hajinan! Hiya! Hajinan! Hiyo! Hajinan! Hiyo! Hajinan! Hiyo! Hajinan! Hiya! Give a hand for our volunteers.
Next up, we're going to have the guys come out, and we're going to have them demonstrate a dance that is known as the Seneca War Dance. And, this dance was used at a point in our history to declare war. It was also used as a victory dance after battle. And it's interesting that, again, these songs and this specific dance have been kept intact and passed down generation to generation. And we're going to have these guys show off this old style Seneca war dance. At this time, I'd like to talk a little bit about the regalia the guys are wearing. This is the type of clothing worn for ceremonies in our longhouse by men. One of the things that you notice is the feathered gustoa or headdresses that we have on. And with this one feather standing straight up, it shows that we come from the from here, actually. I usually have to try to explain where Canandaigua is and all of that, but really this is where we come from. So in our language, we refer to ourselves as Onondaga people. So you can hear that word Nondawao in that description, meaning that we're people of that hill and from this place. And with that one feather standing straight up, that's what it signifies. So visitors came to our territory and they called us Senecas, which in our language means absolutely nothing. That's English. So a lot of the names that you're familiar with for different indigenous groups really are English versions. So for instance, we refer to the Ganyak-Gayono people or the people of the Flint Nation by that title, Ganyak-Gayono. And English-speaking people came along and called them Mohawks. So a lot of these different tribal names are really just English versions. So anyways, you can see that they have the buckskin leggings on, a couple of them do, and one of the things that we like to wear are these deer hoof shakers that I've got on. But again, you can see sometimes the clan membership in beads on the different regalia that some of the guys have on. And again, this is our traditional men's regalia, so let's give them a hand. Now, in a few weeks' time, I hate to blow up their spot, but in a few weeks' time, the Howard family here sitting in front is going to be celebrating their wedding. And, they've asked us to come and share some Yoinzagika at their nuptials. And, it's awesome. It's an awesome honor for us to do that. And one of the dances definitely that we'll be doing there is this dance that we call Guayoino. This is a partner dance where the partners join hands. This is the rabbit dance. Now, as I said, I'm here with members of my family to share these dances and this music with you. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce my grandson. And he's getting set up right now to do his version of a dance called the hoop dance. Now, when he does this hoop dance, he'll be making different formations that represent things from nature. You might see a butterfly, you might see birds, you might see a flower in this dance that he does. And it's kind of has special meaning, him doing hoop dance here, because, let's see, it would be 5 years ago that this was the first place he ever did hoop dance. So it was at this performance, at this location, and 5 years ago. So he's been dancing hoop dance now for 5 years. He, at the time, was 4 years old, turning 5. And now he's 9 years old, turning 10 in a few days. So let's give him a round of applause. Birthday boy coming up very soon. Tuesday, right? Yeah. Tuesday is his birthday. So here we go. He's excited too. He says, Grandpa. I said, what? He says he's got some new tricks. So all right, here we go. Sorry about that, boy. I think I stopped too soon on that. Oh, that happens sometimes. Give him another hand. We are Dowdy. Now at this time, I think we're going to have our dancers go on this side, and we're going to have them do an easy dance that celebrates also this idea of the circle of life. Now, as Native people, we look at the sun, we look at the moon, and we see that they are circles. We see that they're round. We look at the trees. We see that they are also round. And we have this idea of the circle of life, that it includes all living things, includes even people. And as people, we need to be reminded that we are only part of this circle, that we don't own it, that we don't control it, that we're only one part of it. And with that idea, we try to maintain balance in what we do and in looking forward to the future 7 generations ahead. So that's what this dance is about. And we invite you into our circle. Get right in with our dancers. It's a very easy step. It's an easy side step. We're going to start off by going to the right. So come on over and join us. This is the round dance. time. Once again, a big hand for our volunteers. At this time, we're going to introduce our dancers. I'm going to ask our adult men to come on up and give them their introductions at this time. It gives me great pleasure to introduce over on the far side, that's my oldest grandson. Let's hear it for Dylan Harris. Over here is my son-in-law. Let's hear it for Jacob Dowdy. We're going to give these guys a fast contest song that's called Smoke Dance. Now, the rules of Smoke Dance are, no matter how fast the beat goes, these guys got to keep up with it. They've also got to stop on a dime on the last beat of the song. So here we go, men's Smoke Dance. Next up, it used to be that only guys got to do that dance because it was derived from the war dance style of dancing. Now, it happened around the early 1900s that our Iroquois women said, hey, we can dance just as fast and even better than the guys. Nowadays, there's women's smoke dance contests held at all of our big powwows. So here we go. This is women's style smoke dance. Stay out there, ladies. Stay out there. Got to do introductions. Once again, over there on the far side is my daughter, Courtney Krause. Next is my daughter, Ashlyn Krause. And next in line is my honey, Lynn George. All right. Now, it only stands to reason that if we have men's smoke dance, we also have young boys smoke dance. So we're going to have Liam come out and show off his version of this contest dance. also have little girls smoke dance, and we're going to bring Rosalind George out here right now. And oh geez, last year at Salamanca Powwow, there was about 50 girls her age dancing in the smoke dance contest at Salamanca Powwow, and Rosalind placed 4th out of 50 girls. So she is a true champion smoke dancer. She does pretty well. I think earlier this summer she placed 2nd or 3rd and like won $600. So again, you know, it's like if you're a good smoke dancer, you know, it can come in handy. So here we go. This is her version of girls smoke dance. Well, we're going to bring everybody out once again, and this time we're going to have them do a partner dance, and I think we'll have them do it over there. Again, there's a little more space over there, and we encourage you to get a partner and join us for the alligator dance. Now, in order to witness this alligator dance, we need your help. Let me hear you all say this. Let me hear it nice and loud. Let me hear you all say, "Weehaw!" Weehaw! I say, "Yeah!" You reply by saying, "Weehaw!" Here we go. Let's practice it. Yeah! Weehaw! Yeah! Weehaw! Yeah! Very good. That is the chorus part to the alligator dance. So get a partner and get in line with our dancers. Here we go. Okay, here we go. How was out? Okay, now we want you to clap along with the beat. Here we go. Give him a hand. Volunteers, stand next to me. Okay, we have time for one more dance. And you know, this last dance that we're going to do, we always use this as a finale at our social gatherings. It starts off kind of medium fast. We're going to have the guys get in front. So go ahead, dude. Get right up there. And we want to open it up. If anybody else wants to join us, feel free. We've had you guys try some dancing, all slow ones. Now we're going to try something fast, okay? So if you'd like to dance fast, come on out, give it a shot. It's what we call Ganisto Gay. This is the stick dance. Here we go. So once again, we certainly hope you enjoyed our dancing as much as we enjoyed dancing with you. Again, we would like to thank the Historical Society for giving us the opportunity once again to come and share a little bit of our songs and our dances and our oral tradition, our oral history. And a number of the dancers will be on Bear Hill tonight at the bonfire. So we encourage you to come up there and celebrate with us. And really what's nice about us coming back here and participating in these events is it's also retying us to this place for this awesome historical event. So we appreciate the opportunity to come here and celebrate the end of summer as we get ready to move into the harvest time. And again, I got to say that my grandson here is in a rush to get home because he has a football game tonight. He plays for the Seneca Warriors midget football team, and he plays defensive and offensive line. And on the other side of the line with him in the lineup there is my other grandson. So both those guys are doing a great job. Right now they're 2-1 in their season, so they hope to get a win tonight. And they like playing football. They're big guys. They throw them little guys around a little bit, but again, they have fun with it. So we would like to say a big hueso Yahweh Gaguego. And in our language, we never say goodbye when we depart company. We only say this word. I'm here you all say Escongeai. Escongeai means we'll see you all again. Thank you very much.